Hello.
Hey, Corey. All right. We'll get started here in a second. Let's go ahead and share across the platforms, and then we'll get started since we have some technical difficulties. I hate technology.
Yeah, me too.
Unbelievable. All right, let's get started while we can. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 24, Crossroads Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Reef. Corey White joining remotely today.
Hey, world.
Hey, trying some new technology, seeing how this works, and obviously after the fifth try, still some kinks to work out there in it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We need an IT staffer.
I know, right? And our producer's not here this evening, so we're going to just roll with the flow. All right, Corey, starting out, we had the college football this past weekend. Just a quick synopsis, kind of recapping the entire weekend itself. My biggest takeaway is Penn State really that good, or is Michigan that bad?
I would say both. I had the luxury of actually watching Penn State last year in the Big Ten championship game, and they looked like a grown man team out there. They were good on offense, they were good on defense, and they get a real test next week, or this week now, when they play Ohio State. That's going to be an awesome game to watch. But Michigan obviously has dropped out of the top 25 now, so we don't really know how good they are. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost a lot of prospects to the NFL. So they're kind of in a mini rebuild here probably until next year. So really not the best test for Penn State, but there's a big one this week for Penn State, and it should be a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really shocked. I saw it was a 3 o'clock start even in the afternoon. I don't know who chose that. Probably should have been best for a primetime performance for this weekend. But I tell you what, I was really shocked how well Notre Dame dismantled USC.
That's right.
Not just beat them, they whipped them.
It was awesome. I was there, obviously, watching in person, and it was the greatest college football game I've ever witnessed in my entire life. For years and years and years, we've seen the big plays that USC has put on Notre Dame and the ass whoopings they put on Notre Dame, so it was good to finally send one right back to them. And this was a statement game for Notre Dame. They are for real. You know, that 1-point loss to Georgia wasn't a joke. If Notre Dame would have played Georgia this week, they would have won because Brandon Wimbush, their quarterback, is a little bit better now, and he's going to get better as the year goes on. So I'm really excited to see, we're doing a kind of our first look at a college football playoff. Notre Dame's not quite in mine yet, but if they win this weekend, I'll guarantee you they're going to be in my top 4 next week because it was a shellacking they put on the Trojans, and it was awesome to see Josh Adams run all over a top-quality team like that. I think it was a Heisman game, statement game for Josh Adams, too. That guy's a beast.
Yeah, I think Darnell, watching him, I had him as my Heisman pick before the season started. I think he played terrible. I think his status for Heisman definitely dropped after that game. I'll be curious how good really NC State is. I know they're ranked 14th in the country. They've beaten some quality teams so far this season, but I think they play is it at Notre Dame this weekend?
It's at Notre Dame, that's right.
Okay, I think if Notre Dame can put a whooping on them, 20 points or more, that could have put them, leapfrog them into the top 5. I think a win will put them at least at 7 or 6, because I think whoever loses between Penn State and Ohio State, I think Notre Dame leapfrogs them.
Yeah, and, if Penn State beats Ohio State, that could be good for teams like Notre Dame and the other one-loss teams that are right there on the outskirt, because that would essentially eliminate Ohio State then with 2 losses. So This is a big weekend right before the playoff committee selects their 4 teams. It's going to really shape up to see what happens the rest of the way. North Carolina State, just a mini preview. You mentioned it. They're ranked, 14th, 15th now. It's not going to be an easy game for Notre Dame, but it's a home game, and Notre Dame can run with the best of them in the country, and I think they'll easily win by 20 points. I don't think there's really going to be much of a competition here because North Carolina State, I think, is just going to be overpowered here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the shock and awe of NC State actually coming in Notre Dame Stadium enough is going to be, before they know it, they're going to be down 14-0, and I guess it's going to be 7 minutes to go still in the first quarter.
Yep.
Kind of like what USC ran into. But so, segue into your top four. Currently, right now, I have Alabama at 1, and I've got them. I've got actually Wisconsin, number 4, playing them. I've got Wisconsin moved up to the number 4 spot. And then I've got Penn State, number 2, against number 3, Georgia. So Alabama versus Wisconsin right now. Penn State and Georgia as my top 4 teams.
Wow. Okay. Mine looks a little different. I like Wisconsin, but here's my one problem with them. Probably the easiest schedule. They have no top 25 wins already, and they're not going to have any for the rest of the year. So I couldn't put Wisconsin in my top 4 because they have not played anybody. They've played the Nebraskas and Iowas and Minnesotas of the world.
Well, that's not their fault. That's what the Big Ten schedules.
True, but I just think I have a couple of one-loss teams in mind, and I put them above Wisconsin just based on the level of competition they're playing. So here's my top 4. I agree with you on the top 2. Alabama and Penn State are there 1 and 2. I think rightfully so. Number 3, I have Clemson, even after their hiccup loss.
Wow.
Yep.
That was a big loss they had at Syracuse.
Since this college playoff has existed, there's been no undefeated team that's won the national championship. I don't think it changes this year. They're still a great team. They've played great competition. They have great competition ahead of them. So I think even with one loss, if they win, they're in. And to round out, I have another one-loss team, and this is going to decide this weekend. It's Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
So another team that's, beaten a couple good teams. But here's the difference between Ohio State and Wisconsin. Ohio State has also not played the greatest schedule up to date, but they have been blowing out their competition versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin's had some close games. Ohio State's been winning by 30 points, which is what they're supposed to do. So that's why I have them in the top 4 as well.
I think Ohio State also has an X factor of Urban Meyer, the X factor of coaching.
That's right.
He gets that extra advantage.
So that's my top 4. Obviously, 2 of them play against each other this weekend, so mine could really be shook up after this weekend's games.
Okay. Going into our pick'em contest that we have currently, I went 5-2 this past week. You went 4-3. So currently, I'm sitting at 37-16. You're 33-20, just 4 games back. It was a rough one for. It started out okay, and then it just kind of went lopsided. Purdue, Indiana, and Ball State just getting destroyed.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm never choosing against Ball State, so I'm predicting them to go undefeated, and we know that's not going to happen. And I'm never going to root against Notre Dame, so that's going to hurt me at times. And then the other thing is, everyone knows I'm a little crazy, so I choose a lot more upsets. I choose at least one big upset every week. I chose IU to win against Michigan, and who did I pick? I think I chose IU against Penn State too, I think maybe, to upset them, or Michigan State or someone this week. So I'm going for those upset picks to, try to catch up. But when I don't win them, obviously I fall a little farther back.
So going into this week, we'll have the picks up on the website later on this week. We've got number 3, Georgia versus Florida. I think Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns at least.
Georgia in a landslide. Even though they're at away and home for Florida, Georgia wins big.
Yeah. Number 2, Penn State. Number 6, Ohio State, the matchup we've already talked about. It's at Ohio State. I'm going Penn State.
I'm with you. I'm going Penn State to showcase they are the real deal, and that's going to eliminate Ohio State from the playoff. And so, like I said, that'll shake up my top 4 next week.
Absolutely. Number 14, NC State, and number 9, Notre Dame. We already know where you're going with that.
We know where we're going there.
Indiana at Maryland. Maryland just got waxed, I believe, this past weekend. I saw by, I don't even know who it was. I don't remember who it was on there, but I saw they get waxed. But I've got the Hoosiers winning.
No doubt they'll win that game.
They had a tough one last week as an overtime. So Nebraska and Purdue, I'm actually going with the Boilers. Nebraska hasn't proved anything to me that they can have a consistent season.
You're absolutely right. And Purdue's been playing some pretty good games. They've been competing with folks. And, Louisville and others, and Michigan, they hung in there. So I think Purdue's going to win pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, the Boilers, they've definitely impressed a lot of people this season. They haven't won they've won more than most people thought, but they've also hung in a lot more games than most people have thought they would this year. So,
Yeah.
Wisconsin, they hung in there all the way towards the end. So you got to give them credit for that. Toledo at Ball State, I'm going the Rockets. I'm going Toledo. I'm sorry.
How could you?
I'm going Toledo. Ball State's lost 2 in a row. Stay away from them.
They're going to bounce back. Ball State's going to bounce back after that shellacking against Central Michigan. They'll win at home. It's also is this homecoming or was last weekend homecoming?
No, last week was homecoming.
All right, never mind. All right, Ball State wins in a landslide, 20-plus points.
And then we've got the mullet himself, Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State. Cowboys going to Mullet Land Central, West Virginia. The Battle of the Mullets. I've got West Virginia knocking them off.
Well, this is going to be one of those games that can make up some ground because I'm going with the Gundys. I'm going Oklahoma State. Okay. I had Rudolph, their quarterback, as a Heisman favorite this year, and I think it's going to be a shootout, obviously, and I think they got the better athletes to pull it off.
Absolutely. Okay. Real quick, as we're kind of going through our picks, I'm going to give my my 4 gambling games this week that are sure bet. All right. I struggled last week. I was on life support with my picks. Didn't go that my way as I needed to. Thank you, Tennessee, for not covering Cleveland. So that kind of hurt me there. I didn't think the Browns would hang in there with that one. But I've got Penn State covering the plus 6.5. So I'm getting 6.5 with Penn State against Ohio State. I really like that one. I got the Steelers -3 Sunday night up in Detroit. I think that's a sure bet there. The Bengals -10. I'll give you the 10 points against the Colts.
Easily.
It's a train wreck over here on 56th Street with the Colts organization. We'll get to that here shortly. And then I've got the Irish -7.5 against NC State. Give them the points. Notre Dame's going to cover it.
I like it. Just parlay all those right now. Everyone wants
parlay all 4 of those if you want winners this weekend, and you can thank me next Sunday morning.
There we go. I like them. I like the picks.
Going into NFL this past Sunday, one thing stands out is it don't matter who. There's so much variety in the NFL. Nobody can sit there and keep themselves at the top. 2 weeks ago, we thought the Kansas City Chiefs, best team in the league, 5-0. Well, they've lost 2 straight right now. Haven't done anything. 3 weeks ago, everybody thought the Steelers, the wheels were falling off the wagon. They've been retirement. Well, they've done. Just put themselves first place in the AFC currently right now. There's just so much, Tennessee, everybody thought Tennessee was going well. Then all of a sudden now they can't hardly score any points at all. Atlanta, they can't get anything done this season. Barely scored any touchdowns there. Right. Yes, Chris, the Browns will always be at the bottom. We've got that. I actually thought they were going to win this weekend. I thought we were going to pop the champagne, celebrate a victory with the Brownies. But
baby steps. They went to overtime, so baby steps.
But so speaking of the NFL, let's go to Cleveland. They switched quarterbacks again. They benched Kaiser out late at night, supposedly, and they went back to was it Hogan? Now, where do you go from here? You've benched this guy Kaiser, your first round pick, twice already now this season. Is he going to be the future, or you just what do you do? I have no idea what you do.
I know exactly what you do. You put Julius Peppers back there, and you run the Wildcat all day. That's all you do. You have Crow on one side of him, you have Dookie Johnson on the other side, and you just run Wildcat all day, every day. It may sound stupid, Chris, but your Brownies would actually win a game.
Oh, Hugh is definitely, he's supposed to be the quarterback cradle or whisperer, or whatever you want to call it, but it messes with a guy's psyche when you start him and then you bench him then you go back and start him again, then you bench him again. Like, he's just going to be looking over his shoulder the entire time. Am I going to be staying in here? Am I going to throw an incomplete pass and get thrown out? I thought it was interesting that the Browns, I read an article, the Browns have reached out to Peyton Manning to come in and try to help the front office organization. Hell, I don't even know if Peyton wants to even try to go into that as his first pick.
Hell no. You know what they say? You have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
So, exactly. I
think they'll start with the comments down there.
If they go 0-16, Hugh has to be fired. You can't go 0-32 and still have a job in this league.
No, not at all. So,
the
Browns are. We'll sum it up. The Browns are dumpster fire, and that's about it. We don't need to talk about them anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. Jaguars 27, Colts, the goose egg.
Hey, we said this over a year and a half ago. Need to get rid of everybody. Everybody needs to go.
Drain the swamp.
Yep, drain that swamp on 56th Street. Jesus.
This Colts defense made Blake Bortles look like an all-pro quarterback. They made Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon look like all-pro running backs.
Yeah.
And just imagine if old boy Fournette was playing. He probably would have had 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, easily. It's crazy what's going on there. I think old Ballard will get it right eventually, but, it's going to take him a little time. They never, ever addressed the offensive line, ever. I mean, it's just...
We talk about it all the time like this.
I know. So,
I think...
The Colts are so bad, Harley Quinn had to come in here and poke her head in because she heard the word Colts and understood.
Exactly.
It's pretty much a dumpster fire.
I am starting to enjoy the Monday press conferences by Chuck Pagano because he is just so livid. Hi, Harley Quinn. We got a special.
Hi to the group, Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is the Great Dane that makes all of our picks for us, so all the credit goes there.
So I just, Pagano getting into it with the reporters, the Luck situation. Luck behind schedule. I don't even think he plays. I told you guys. I even put on Twitter back in early August that Luck wasn't, if he was going to come back, it wasn't going to be for 8 to 10 weeks. And Jason Franklin called me crazy and that he'll be back by week 5. Where's he at, Jason? He's still not out there. I don't even think he's going to be out there for any of this season. I was at work yesterday and I saw the game. I looked over and I see Scott Tolzien warming up. And I said, are we going back? But then I found out that maybe Brissett may have hurt himself at one point, but he ended up staying in the game. Malik Hooker out, torn ACL, MCL, as the world turns to the Colts organization. Frank Gore's comments that he came here to win and be a part of this organization. If he doesn't do it, then he wants out.
Yep.
He made those today. T.Y. Hilton made his comments that the offensive line has to play better, which I don't think nobody disagrees with. But then he went back today and retracted those statements that he made. So it's the circus over there at West 56th Street, and still no comments by Jim Irsay, and that shocks me that we haven't heard anything yet from him.
Well, he doesn't know what's going on. He's so doped up right now. But just think about this for a second. One of the decent moves they made was actually trading for Jacoby Brissett. Imagine if they didn't do that, what the train wreck would look like with Tolzien at the helm all year. I mean, it would be 50-0 games every single game. The offense would have Brissett's done everything he's could to keep them in a game, and he has zero help around him, T.Y. Hilton included. T.Y. Hilton can't get open when there's a decent cornerback on him. So it's not.
Is Dante Moncrief playing?
What's that?
Is Moncrief even playing? I look like he didn't do anything.
It's just a disaster. And even with Andrew Luck, it would still be a disaster. I think they would have won maybe one more game than what they have with Andrew Luck. So it's not just Andrew Luck coming back and you're going to win all these games. Now, the one good thing the Colts have going for them is if somehow they get lucky and Luck comes back soon, they're still in the running for the division, which is crazy. Yeah. So they still have a chance. As bad as they are, they have a chance. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, they're bad. They're really, really, really bad. But the thing is, anytime a spark could hit and they can win 2, 3 games in a row, and all of a sudden they're back in it and things change. But I don't see how Irsay should even be contemplating. I mean, Pagano should be gone right now. I mean,
Yeah,
it's embarrassing what he's doing out there. So he should just be gone, and they should just move on and prepare for next year and bring in Harbaugh, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to pay Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's coming, and they're going to actually put a real team together.
I think Dave Tube still from Kansas City. His name gets brought up more and more each time. It's interesting. So actually, I found a perfect note today. This Sunday was the first time since 1993 that the Colts were held scoreless at home. So 93, and they had some bad games in those 90s even. So what's that say about this team? And I don't think it gets better. This week, like I said, you're at Cincinnati this week. Then you go to Houston. Then you're at home against the Steelers. Then you're at home against the Titans. Then you're back at the Jags again. The next 5 games look rough.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to say about the Colts, and I've said this before, is you find out how good a coordinator is when they move on to a new team. So if you recall, Colts fans, when Chuck Pagano came here, he used to be the defensive coordinator in Baltimore with that great defense. Well, I think what we're seeing, since he's been here a handful of years and is yet to even deliver half or a quarter or a tenth of what that Baltimore defense used to be, he's a defensive guru. They've played a lick of defense since he's been here. So what that tells me is that the players made him. He didn't make the players. And that's enough just to get him out of here on his own. I mean, you're a head coach. You know defense, and you can't put the defense together over several years. You don't belong here. I mean, I just don't get it. He hasn't even proven himself on the defensive side. I understand if they have a great defense and can't win any games, he did what he's supposed to. That's his expertise. But, when he can't even do that, I just don't get it. I don't get why he's still here.
Yeah. I think right now, even bringing in, keeping him on, even keeping him, you're not going to lose anything if you keep him on until the end of the season even. So I think Irsay and the organization, Ballard, is just buying their time and seeing who possibly could be out there for this next season to go after and get. But, you fire him now, you fire him week 17. What's the difference going to be? You're still going to have the same – the players are going to be playing the same. I think if you lose these next 2 games, you go into their bye week and you haven't won a game in a while, then you fire him and then you finish out the 6 games and you say, hey, let the season be the season. But where do they go? I still think Dave Toom, the special teams coordinator from KC,
No way. You keep bringing his team up. No way. Stop.
Nobody else. One last thing for the NFL. If the damn Steelers don't get rid of Martavis Bryant sometime soon this week, it will cost them the season. I'm going to call it now.
Maybe the Colts would be a good partner.
He is a cancer. Put him in Cleveland. I don't care. Put him in the worst team ever. Put him in Cleveland. But he has added so much controversy for this organization. They're just now starting to roll again. They played amazing the last 2 weeks, Kansas City and then Cincinnati. They go Sunday Night Football now, but he's such a cancer. He skipped the team meetings today saying he was sick.
Calling in sick. So,
can his ass. Trade him to Cleveland. That's about the worst punishment you can give an NFL player.
Or Arizona right now with no quarterback.
Going to quick fantasy football and DFS updates. Your studs and duds you had for this past week. How'd that all pan out?
Yeah, so last week we put out our first fantasy football article. We labeled it the studs and duds. We're going to do it on a weekly basis. Just talking about who we think are going to be the stud plays of the week and the dud plays of that week. Also give you a little Thursday night special, which is just a special pick for the Thursday night games. And all of these picks can be good picks for your ESPN leagues that you're in all year round, or if you play FanDuel or DraftKings or one of those sites, you can use them there too. So it's not just specific to one thing. But just to recap, last week I think we had a good start. There was a couple of misses, but I think overall it's pretty good. So let's just recap real quick. We had 3 studs last week. The first was Ezekiel Elliott. I think obviously he came through as a stud. 147 yards rushing, 72-yard touchdown catch, and then 2 rushing touchdowns on top of that. So over 200.
Yeah, he crushed me.
Yep, over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a beast. He was a stud, like we predicted him to be. The other stud still had a good game, but I thought I was going to get a little more out of him, and that was Julio Jones going up against a weak Patriots secondary that's been getting burned by every quarterback. Still came out with a good day, although I thought he'd get a little bit more. He had 9 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. I really thought I was going to see about 150 yards and 2 touchdowns total, but still a good performance. The other stud wasn't really a stud. He didn't get the carries, and they just played an ugly game all around. That was C.J. Anderson, running back for the Broncos. He only had 10 carries for 44 yards, 1 catch for 17 yards. But I did say in the article, when he gets over 20 carries is when he's a stud. He didn't even get, he got half those carries. So that rounds it out for the studs from last week. So I think, 2 out of 3, we did pretty good there.
Absolutely. We're passing.
That's passing, yep. Duds, we had 3 of them. T.Y. Hilton, he was certainly a dud. 2 catches, 27 yards. A big name that I put on the dud list was Devonta Freeman. And he was mediocre.
I owned him. I thought you put him on there.
He had 72 yards rushing, 18 yards receiving. So, it was an okay game, but he didn't have the touchdown. So I think we were kind of mediocre on that one. The last dud pick that I had burned us. This was my worst pick of the week, and that was Jameis Winston coming off a little injury. I thought he was going to struggle. He came out, torched the Bills, 384 yards passing, 3 touchdowns.
That's a big miss.
So, we kind of missed one on each of those lists there. My sleeper pick for the week was James White, a Super Bowl rematch. The Falcons usually struggle against running backs who catch the ball. I thought he was going to have a great game, and he was so-so. He had 19 yards rushing, 5 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. So an average game. I thought he was going to have more catches, though. The Thursday night special for last week was Tyreek Hill, and although he had a good game, he was really outperformed by Amari Cooper, who rose from the dead. But Tyreek Hill still performed well, 125 yards receiving, about a 60-yard touchdown, and 6 catches. So that was a great fantasy game for him. So that was our recap of last week. I thought it was a lot of fun to just try to find people. We did pretty well. We're going to put it out every week. Just giving you a little future glimpse of what this week's list is going to look like. For the studs, I have an easy one. I got Joe Mixon going against the Colts. He's finally going to get his carries. He's going to have 20 carries. I think he's going to have 150 yards and probably 2 touchdowns combined of passing and rushing. We just saw what Yeldon did, and Mixon is a way better talent than T.J. Yeldon. Right. So mix it against the Colts, lock it into your fantasy lineups. He's going to have a big day. A dud, I like this guy, but he's going to struggle this week, and that's Brandon Cooks of the Patriots going up against the Chargers. The Chargers have a really good secondary.
They're turning it on.
Led by Jason Verrett, who's going to cover Brandon Cooks, and Verrett can lock down stud receivers, and I think he does it against Cooks. My Thursday night special, lock it in. We got, what is it? It's a Dolphins-Ravens matchup. Running back for Baltimore, Alex Collins. He's been rushing really well this year. Yet to score a touchdown. He runs hard. I think he's going to have 100 yards and a touchdown on Thursday night against the Dolphins. So there's a little preview for this week.
Damn, I was hoping you'd give me Jarvis Landry. I have him in the league.
Not again. It's going to be an Alex Collins show. We'll have the complete list out later this week, so check it out on the website. It'll be posted on Facebook and Twitter, too.
Who do you have any Monday Night Miracles tonight?
Monday Night Miracles. Ooh, I'm not hoping for any. Do you
have your matchups? Do you have any matchups that come down to tonight?
It could, but it's going to take a real Monday Night Miracle. So I'm up quite a bit against my competitor, David Dew. And I can't remember what the score is, but I'll look it up. He has Carson Wentz going tonight, and he has Jordan Reed. I have Zach Ertz, who's been a really solid tight end this entire year. I'm up 115.9 to 61.3, so a pretty big gap. It's going to take a monster game.
Got that.
But, if Wentz throws his touchdowns to Ertz, it's going to cancel a lot of those out.
Yeah.
Just tonight, someone to look out for, I think, is Nelson Aguilar. This guy's been sniffing the red zone. They look for him in the red zone. So he can really, he can get you 2 touchdowns tonight. But the one guy I think is going to fall through the cracks, big play, Torrey Smith. He's going to have a long touchdown catch tonight.
Gotcha. In one of my leagues, I'm up 112.5 to 80, so I'm up 32 points. I don't have anybody left. They have Carson Wentz and the Redskins defense. So 32 points, it's possible, especially with quarterbacks getting 6 points for touchdowns in that league.
Yep.
But I'm hoping the defense will cancel out some of their points, and I can walk away with in that league another victory. So Monday Night Miracle, hopefully I can hold on in that league because I got burnt by Amari Cooper in that league as well. So we'll see what happens with that. I hate fantasy football. I want to retire. May have to retire. Put a breaking news announcement at the end of the season.
Emergency press conference.
Switching shifts real quick. We'll just kind of do a quick thing. Then we'll go to quick hitters to round it out for the night. Pacers update. Currently 1-2 on the season. At the T-Wolves tomorrow, and then at Oklahoma City against Paul George, and then home against the Spurs. So a real tough stretch. In my predictions, I had them 1-5 starting out. So we're well on their way there.
They're going to be an exciting team to watch. They're going to score a lot of points. A couple years ago, they said they wanted to create a roster where, if you can't hear, Harley Quinn is really thirsty.
Yeah, I can hear
Sounds
that.
like a horse drinking behind me. Should have picked a different room. Harley Quinn getting her 15 seconds of fame here. Anyway, going to be an exciting team to watch. A few years ago, they said they wanted to build an up-tempo roster. They never did. I think they have that roster now, but they can't play defense. So they're going to get outscored every single game. But,
right.
Collison looks like he did 10 years ago, and Victor Oladipo looks like an all-star, and Thaddeus Young looks like the old Thaddeus Young. And so they
got great offense. They just can't play defense.
Yeah,
and we saw that tonight. We went to the game the other.
They're not gonna play any defense. I think they win like 25 games this year. I really do. They're gonna be. They're not gonna get blown out. I don't think. They're gonna lose by 10 points every game, something like that. So we'll see. They're exciting to watch. I'm a Depot fan, so I'm really glad Victor Oladipo's here. But it's gonna be a struggle this year for sure.
Yeah, I think I got them at 32 and 50 for the season, 10th place in the East. But still not good. Miles Turner's still going to be out and definitely back in the concussion. Apparently, he can't go through the concussion protocol until his neck injury is healed. So that's a new rule in the NBA. So even if his concussion is done, it's over with, until he gets cleared with the neck, he can't go through the concussion protocol for that. So
it's a shame because if he's healthy, he's an all-star this year. He is a phenomenal talent.
Yeah. Last 2 things with NBA. The Thunder struggling a little bit, 1-2 to start out. I loved seeing Wiggins hit that 35-footer last night. Seeing them, that was great. And then Earl Watson, 3 games in, canned by the Phoenix Suns. Point differential of 101 points. That's what we call a large amount. Friends.
I mean, we could literally step in and do a better job.
They were down 62 at one point in a game, and I turned it on and watched it and thought it was an error.
Yikes.
Finishing up, quick hitters for this evening. College basketball, Corey, has started. Hoosier Hysteria. The preseason ranks are out. Duke is number 1, Michigan State 2, Kansas 3, Kentucky 4. Biggest takeaway from that is all the big conferences are represented: ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, and SEC. Local interest, Notre Dame coming out as number 14 in the country, and Purdue 21. Butler did receive some votes. National championship prediction right now on the spot. I'm going to go with who I picked last year. Duke Blue Devils, national champion.
Oh, wow. I haven't even thought about it much yet. Wow, that's a tough one. I like Duke as well.
Got a lot of talent.
I'm not sure I have a prediction yet. Michigan State obviously has some good talent back as well. I think someone else rises. I'll have to look. I'll have my prediction next time.
Yeah, Miles Bridges, Big Ten Player of the Year preseason. I think he's going to have a big year, sophomore year with the team. go well. This past weekend, I talked about Hoosier Hysteria Saturday night. Romeo Langford from New Albany went and had his fun at Bloomington. So we'll see what happens there. It's shining bright right now for old Archie down there. The season actually starts here in 3 weeks. Purdue goes up against Southern Illinois Edwardsville on the 10th of November, and IU takes on Indiana State the same day. So Crossroads did put their application in today for media credentials for the Purdue season and the IU season. So we're going to see which ones, if any, that we end up getting.
There we go.
Final two things. World Series prediction. Baseball's almost over. Astros, Dodgers. Who do you got?
Dodgers in a sweep.
I'm taking the Astros.
Dodgers in a sweep.
Wow. Astros in 6. And the last one, a feel-good story for the night. A guy in Wisconsin played every one of the 547 golf courses in Wisconsin. His name is H. John Kruger. He has a 10 to 14 shot handicap. He first round of golf was in 1968. His wife played over 300 holes of golf with him on his way. One of his vacations, he said he's played 36 holes for golf on their vacation. 36 holes of golf for 16 days straight.
Wow.
He's actually played all the 18-hole and 9-hole courses in Wisconsin. It took 60 or 50-some years for him to do it. And back then, on his very first round of golf, it cost $2.50 to play a round of golf.
That's unreal. You can't even buy a tee for that price now.
Exactly. So we got the NBA starting up, NFL continuing tonight, college football. We're starting to get into the big conference games, the showdowns. College basketball about to start up, another huge thing. So a lot of awesome sports getting ready to come up, and looking forward to covering all those with you. Thanks, guys, for the people that have joined in, who have commented, who have watched. I appreciate all that. We've had some technical difficulties, but we're definitely working to get those out. We're trying a remote podcast. So this will be up on iTunes as well and on Facebook, but we wanted to try something different since we couldn't both be in the same place. So, Corey, you have any final thoughts?
That is it. Should be a high-scoring Monday Night Football game. So everyone tune in. If you have your Monday Night Miracles, I hope they all come through for you and everyone is prosperous going into the next week.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for following. Be sure to follow us on our Facebook page, Crossroads Sports, our Twitter account, Crossroads Sports as well. And then I'm at Brandon Reef on Twitter, and you're at Corey White on Twitter. And happy Sports Week, guys. Take it easy.
Go Irish.